Hey guys, welcome to a Coffee Time Moment. I'm Jaclyn St James. Well, today's episode is about finding that perfect pumpkin and how to make a jack-o'-lantern. One of the first steps you'll want to do is to find the right pumpkin. Choose a large pumpkin, of course. The larger the pumpkin, the easier it is to carve. And avoid any pumpkins with bruises or moldy stems, as they will spoil much faster. Pumpkins with a lighter color tend to be softer and easier to carve. Next, you'll need to take the top off the pumpkin. I call this step decapitating the pumpkin. I like to decapitate the pumpkin using a butcher knife. Often the flesh around this area is quite thick, so the long blade of a butcher knife is really helpful. But just be careful, and if you're a child watching this video, ask your parents to help you. You can go to all fancy schmancy on the pumpkin using those amazing stencils, but I love tradition. And if you like tradition, like I do, this is the way to go. If you're using a saw, the tops generally have a nice smooth curve. A knife will give that jagged, blocky edge. When using a saw or a knife, try to enter the pumpkin on an angle. That way, when the pumpkin starts to shrivel, the top won't fall in. Once the top is removed, now is the time to really get involved. The messy pulling of the seeds and pulp. Removing the seeds and pulp. Oh, God, I hate this part. Anyway, I'm still looking for a power tool to do this step for me. Presently, I like to use a spoon. I mean, why break the tradition? For larger pumpkins, I use a long-handled metal spoon. I refer to the spoon as that lunch lady spoon. When cleaning the pumpkin, save the seeds in a nice container. Toasted pumpkin seeds make a healthy as well as tasty snack. I scoop out all of the fresh flesh and seeds. This makes the pumpkin easier to carve and keeps the squirrels away from the finished pumpkin. Some of the waste goes right into the compost bin, because you know I have one. And if you will, if you're lighting the pumpkin this year, the back wall should be scraped as smooth as possible, since this is where the light will be reflected. A 1-inch thickness of pumpkin wall is optimum. For longer life, soak the clean pumpkin in a couple of hours in a bleach water solution of 1 teaspoon bleach to 1 gallon of water. Dry thoroughly, then rub inside and out, including all cut edges, with vegetable oil or petroleum jelly to prevent shriveling. If the pumpkin begins to shrivel, repeat the process. The soaking time will depend upon how dried out the pumpkin has become. For beginners, you should select a simple bold pattern. Once you master the simple patterns, you can move on to something more difficult. Print out or draw the pattern on a piece of paper. Use a small sharp scissor or razor-like knife to cut out the areas you will be carving into the pumpkin. And I want to apologize. It was planned that I was going to do this for you on the video, but unfortunately I had to move the time up to this week, because this was actually supposed to be next week's video, but next week I'm going on a cruise, lucky me, and I won't be able to do it, and I didn't want the pumpkin to rot outside my front door, so that's why I'm not doing it this year. So I apologize. You can go on to my last year's videos and you can find me doing it then. But everyone gets the gist of carving a pumpkin. So anyway, tape the template onto the pumpkin and use a marker to trace the carving lines. Cutting slits in the paper on the corners of each side will help it to conform to the round surface of the pumpkin. As an alternative, you can tape the outline to the pumpkin and use a nail or a large pushpin to score the carving lines into the pumpkin. Connect the dots as you carve. A long serrated knife or a pumpkin carving knife with teeth will be necessary to cut through the thick flesh. Using a sawing motion, and take your time cutting along the outside edge of the marker lines so there is no marker residue. Consider cutting off the bottom of the pumpkin as well as the top. The pumpkin will be more stable and also easier to carve. If you plan on using a candle to light your jack-o'-lantern, be sure the opening in the bottom is large enough to fit over the candle. Place the candle on a fireproof base large enough to accommodate the pumpkin. You can then easily lift off the jack-o'-lantern to light the candle. I don't do this step, but if you have small kids or young kids, this is something wise to do, or pets, it's something wise to do. If you will be lighting your jack-o'-lantern with a candle, be sure to leave the lid off to avoid any fire hazard. Use a votive candle in a glass holder or tea lights in metal case. And if you want to leave the lid on, carve a hole in the unseen back side of the pumpkin to act as a chimney. Never leave your candle lit in the jack-o'-lantern unattended for any length of time. Or the best way to go is a small battery-operated flameless candle. It's a safer choice than traditional candles for lighting your jack-o'-lantern. Oh, and here's a little tidbit. Sprinkle the bottom side of the pumpkin lid with ground cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves to let your jack-o'-lantern do double duty as an air freshener. Place the jack-o'-lantern in a plastic bag and refrigerate when not in use. So there you go, several easy steps to make your Halloween holiday fun. Thanks for watching. I'm Jaclyn St James. I'll see you on the next episode of A Coffee Time Moment with more Halloween tips and fun. Just remember that next week there will not be a video, but the week after that will be my Halloween videos. So thanks for watching, and again, I do apologize for not doing this with you, but I'm sorry. Anyway, have a great evening, and thanks for watching my videos. Bye-bye.